Who is it?
It's the plumber.
Plumber? I didn't call a plumber.
You don't have enough love in your heart.
You saying I should smell my plumber?
Well, I've never personally smelled them, but I'd say Dana got a good whiff. You want an experience like Dana's, you should
Smell my plumber?
love, love, love.
That's a lot of love for a plumber.
Alright, here we have a radio that's been sent to me for repair, and I have absolutely no idea what kind of radio. It's in a Pepsi bag in the box, soda syrup box, and all I know is that it has a leather handle and it's solid state, and the dial cord could be a problem. So let's unbox this thing and see what it is. Okay, here we go. One-handed, this is not going to happen. Okay, it's a General Electric, and I think they call this a Strato World, or was that the RCA version? But this is like, this is GE's answer to the Transoceanics. I've seen these. I've never worked on one before. I think this is, well, the antenna's missing. The FM antenna is missing, and I have never had a look inside one of these, so I'm very curious. So on this one, this is the pouch, I guess, where the information went, and then on the Zenith it was in the front. And ooh, got to be very careful with this. Well, I wonder if GE used these twist ties. These are like the things you get at the supermarket to close your bag with the fruit in it. Looks very American made. It's only got a 2-gang tuning capacitor, which the Zenith, the Zenith had a heads up there. This doesn't look right here. That's the dial cord spring, and the dial cord is like, so I see one electrolytic here. This is probably your FM detector, stabilizing capacitor. This is probably a filter. Boy, there are not many electrolytics in this. It looks like it's NPN silicon transistors. This should have a power plug, no? Maybe it's got a wall wart. Very American made. Well, it feels like the dial cord is still connected. This right here looks like the broadcast IF strip. Those are kind of the typical colors. That would be a 2IF broadcast. And this over here, I have no idea what this is at all. They're like separate little modules stuck on the board. It's kind of interesting. Look at this, it's got a Jensen speaker in it. Weathermaster. Guess you can use this radio in the shower. And this IF strip here is quite entertaining too. So how many IF strips does this thing have in it? It doesn't look like they're stacked, you know, like in typical radios where the FM transformers are at the top and the AM 455 transformers are just in series below them. So it looks like it's got three or four IF strips. This is a very interesting design. And this dial cord right here happens to be for the dial indicator only. I can turn the wheel on the front and this moves. So this is very cool. Looks like we got our audio output transformer right there. That looks like it's kind of bulgy. It's the way it's got this shield wrapped around it. This is a very interesting radio. Oh, okay, this is the audio output. These are the two audio output transistors, and this is a heat sink. That's what this is. So this is the audio output block right here. At least that's how it appears. I don't know, I'm making it all up as I go along. It just sounds good. Nice big bar antenna there. Not much that can go wrong in here. A lot of carbon transistors, a few capacitors. There's a cap right there. Looks like a couple caps there. Those look like they would be a bitch to change. You'd have to lift this module off the main board to get them to get to the bottom of them, to unsolder them. Huh. Well, let's give it some power. Alright, here we go. Power supply. Oh, that's a good sign. So let's go up to 1 volts. Let's go up to about 9 volts. Something like that. Well, that seems alive.
Popeye meets King Kong. They named the game after the 8th character. Why Donkey? Some say it was supposed to the political and security problems of the United Nations have been cast against the new and terrifying backdrop of thermonuclear fear. To meet these realities, the the organization has been undergoing a remarkable de facto transformation. Its center of political gravity has shifted to a great extent from the Security Council to the General Assembly. And all this time, its legal foundations have not been altered. The Charter of the United Nations, word for word and comma for comma, is the same in 1961, in a world of more than 100 nation states, as it was in 1940.
Okay, let me spray that with the approved cleaner before Jason Cruz comes and spanks me.
Renew our dedication to international understanding and to the gratifying of human yearnings, and thus maximize the probabilities of peace.
Dr. Urban Whitaker will now analyze the competing schools of thought on the future.
Connection, it's time for some of those.
Yana, I love you very much, baby, and thank you.
Launch the summoner on the plate.
Let us look at the state on the
Let's go!
Drop down to 640. There's no reason to be shooting this in 1080.
Now and feel good anywhere you go. Loving the music. Your helpful SoCal Honda dealers. Estoy viviendo en Mars. Bajar stats. No sufras un día más. Llama al Dr. Rispler ahora al 806. There's nothing.
Well, it's got some problems there that are hard to identify. It's got a crunchy crackling, and it's got distortion.
She said love, love, love. Love is gonna take me in love. So far. Now there's a rose in a distant love.
You know, I like it like that. She working that back. I don't know how to act. Slow motion for me. Slow motion for me.
Test times now. Hot923.com. Keyword Jimmy.
You'll also find 4-card poker, 3-card poker, easy baccarat, and blackjack. Add to that the hotel rooms, spacious suites, and luxurious casitas. And there you have it, the recipe for a good time. Visit Morongo.com for more information. Morongo, less than 90 minutes from wherever you are. Good times. I'm Aaron Bender in the KFI newsroom. Coming up at 7:30, a Homeland Security Secretary heads to New Mexico for some face-to-face with people dealing with the illegal immigrants coming in.
Your car puts up with a lot. Help protect it from harmful engine deposits. Pain, and I don't like those patches either. But I have found something that works. Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream. Doesn't smell, doesn't burn, isn't greasy, and it works. An Australian Dream has an empty jar guarantee. You can use the whole jar.
Huh.
So you're not happy, you get your money.
Well, I know this has gone on too long, but it's if it had the distortion on both the AM broadcast band and the FM band, I would say it's the amp, but it kind of sounds distorted on AM, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah, they had a workout, and he didn't like the grip on the weight machine, and he's out. Back to Miami. So funny to read Mickey Aronson's tweet about how shocked and disappointed he is.
Isn't that Dennis Miller? Nah, it's distorted on AM too, which would point to that little audio amp board with those capacitors that are like impossible to get to. But usually the distortion would probably be a transistor. It could be a leaky capacitor, but or a feedback cap. If one of those was open, it could definitely cause it to be distorted.
That has to be right all the time?
Yes.
Do we have to do it your way?
Yes.
Do you have to do everything? Do you have to pick everything? Is everything around you?
Yes.
When I look at
all right, well, here's the SAMs on it, and my last one of the thing, but here it's interesting. This is obviously, this dotted line is that little driver board, and you can see probably GE considered this some kind of little convenience module to just change this modular. This is the modular craze. But what's interesting is the earphone jack comes off of the driver and not the output, so that makes it kind of easy to troubleshoot the amp. We'll just plug our headphones in here, and that's interesting. They actually, when you unplug the earphone, you actually disconnect the driver transformer and run the DC voltage right through your headphones. Third AM IF amp. Wow, it's got 3 AM IF stages, 4 FM IF stages. And I don't see the stabilizing capacitor here on this one. Maybe this is it right here. No, that looks like that's the AFC feedback. Oh, that's what that red switch must be. That must be AFC. Anyway, this is probably one of the more complicated radios I've ever worked on. And I guess these are those IF transformers here. So it only has 2 separate IF strips, the FM and the AM. Let's see here. We could get a date on this thing. 1965. This thing was $199 in 1965. Anyway, let's get the headphones on it. Okay, what I've done is I've just fed the output of the phone at minimum volume directly into the back of the volume control, and I just balance this between two bands to kill it, and it still sounds horrible. So and it's hard to tell, but I can't tell if it's distorted in the headphones or not. It kind of sounds a little distorted, but it's tough to tell. So there's something on that little audio board that's screwed up. I'll have to say it does not sound like this in the headphones. Yeah, it looks like we got some pretty good serviceability here. We can slide this back, and then the heatsink will just open up and come up off of there. So yeah, it looks like, you know, these. Anyway, I should be able to get this. I should be able to get to this from the top. So let's see. Yeah, exactly. This plastic tube slides over this and holds this pinched closed. So what we'll do is we'll do some DC voltage measurements from the top, and I might try and repair this thing from the top if I can. We'll see. We'll do some DC voltage measurements in the next day or two. I've been playing with it with the heat sink off, and this one here is repeatedly overheating and shorting. It'll work for a minute and then it just shorts.
Your money matters, right? Yeah. So Tony, today your word was credibility. Yeah. And I want to speak to that word because in the tax world, credibility is a huge word that I don't think our listeners or many people see.
And then sucker gets super hot. I mean, it starts burning. So I'm looking at those two. I'm going to try and lift that one out from the top. Okay, that's with this one out. That's just this one, and I'm pretty sure this one's bad because they should both have about the same output. So I think what's the whole problem has been is this one's dead, and that's why it's distorted, because it's been this one doing 90% of the work. I'm thinking about replacing these with the silicon and rebiasing. Okay, what I've done is I've cut up a tube socket. I mean, not a tube socket, an IC socket for the pins. And I've soldered the pins in here. And I'm noticing that there's hardly any gain out of this transistor here. This one seems to work fine. This one, hardly any volume. So what I've done is I've tried connecting the emitter back and forth, and now I'm doing the bass. And listen to the bass off of this transistor. And now I'm going to connect it to the base it uses. So all I can say is I hope it's not this guy. I don't know what else is there that it could be. Well, this is not looking good. Essentially what I did is I disconnected this base here and this base here, and I connect this transistor to this line and it works. So that kind of says that this has to be the problem, one of these two. I don't see what else it could be. There's nothing else there. These are good because I leave the emitter and collector connected. I tried reversing the collectors and it didn't change. It's on the base. So for some reason one side of this thing is not getting fed with that, but I got 100K. So this is not making the connection from here to here, and I'm not quite sure. Yeah, something's going on the bottom of the board. Okay, this is a first for me. Here's the transformer. You can see I got the red clip underneath on the lead of the transformer. You can see right here it measures 0 ohms. So we got 0 ohms right there. Now we come across here, and I thought I had verified this, and we measure right here. You can see that's one solid trace, and we got 100K. And I am looking at this trace with a magnifying glass, and I cannot see an open in it. And to verify it, I lifted one side of this board up. What an undertaking this has become. But anyway, yeah, this trace is open somehow between here and here. Well, scratching into it, it measures 0 ohms right there, and it measures 100K right there. So the open's right here. And I think I pinpointed it. You can see there's kind of a dark line right there. That's where it's open. I can scratch it here. And here, nothing. I'm just playing with these transistors. Listen to how this one has this high frequency ring to it. I'm going to change it. I'm going to put the other one in there. I know I'm only running it half, but listen to the difference. Here, there's no high frequency squealing with that one. Go back to this one here. Isn't that weird? I need to fix that trace and get the other one hooked up. I'm just playing around right now. Okay, you can hear the difference here with both cylinders firing and just one. I'll disconnect it. Alright, there's a couple issues I want to take a look at today, and we know we need to run a wire there, and we got one bad output transistor. There's a couple other issues. One is this dial cord, and this is kind of typical of GE, but this little thing here is broken. So I'll take a look at that and see if there's a way around that. The other thing is the FM-RF amp right there. I've noticed that the FM antenna doesn't do anything, and then if I push on and wiggle that transistor, it'll come in and start working. So I want to take a look at what that's about. I guess I better... Of course, the FM-RF amp is behind this. Well, I think I got it. What I did is I just kind of bent that thing, re-engineered it, and then of course the SAMs on this was wrong. It shows there being 3 rollers here, and I can't believe GE designed it like this, but I didn't change the length of the rope, and this is just the way everything lines up. As it comes and it loops around this bottom one, which this bottom one is for the display pointer. So I find it hard to believe, because this one remains stationary when you're tuning, but that's the length and the correct angle here. If I bring it up under this one, then it rubs on something under here. So I don't know. It seems to work fine like this, though. I guess this is right. I don't know. This is an IQ test, and it's too early in the morning for this. And I did find one of these online, and it had 3 rollers here. It was stacked too high over here, so I don't know, maybe they just cost cutting measures or something, but anyway, it's working now. Here's the wire bypassing the open trace. This, if you haven't lost track, this was what was causing the majority of the distortion right here. This is the driver transformer, the audio output driver transformer, and it was only feeding one of the 2 output transistors. Let's take a look at the options we have left for germanium transistors, which are pretty few these days. In fact, the owner of the electronics store was telling me he's having trouble even getting these anymore. And they are quite pricey. One of these is about $6. You could buy two silicons for about $1.50. So rebiasing is a good idea. It's just I don't want to get into all that with this radio. We have a 102, which is what the one in there actually crosses to in the NTE book and the SAMs, which I don't agree with. This is a 150 milliamp transistor, and you can see that it's the wrong case style. Then you have the one we're going to go with, which is a 1 amp collector current, and it's much closer to the case style that was in there. And then you have the 176, which would be ideal to put 2 of these in there. These are 2 amp. There's a 6 watt power dissipation, where this one is a 650 or 850 milliwatts, and this is in the bigger package. So we're going to go with the 102A, which is pretty close form factor wise to the one that was in there. It's just bigger. So bring it out here and see how it sounds. We're kind of in this weird tropical climate thing we get once in a while, where it's like 90% humidity at 80 degrees and it's raining off and on, so I might have to bail and put everything back in the house. It starts raining really hard. Okay, I've had my fill of trying to deal with this thing and its feedback and distortion. It's gonna get rebiased. I cannot get these damn transistors to work right. So I'm gonna need to change the bias regulator right there, and I'll go with 2 NPN PNPs, and I guess I need to go with an NPN here. Clean this all up and rebias it. I'm tired of it. There are going to be some changes needed in order to rebias this for silicon transistors, because instead of 8.9 and 9 volts, meaning basically 100 millivolts, and I think it was measuring about 140 between base and emitter, we need to get to about 550 millivolts around there. And what sets up the bias on this is this and this. So of course this is because germanium are so sensitive to heat, you have to have this. We'll leave it, we don't need it. I'm going to have to change this to a silicon, and that should, depending on this 1800, the 1800 might have to change, but changing this should almost do it. We can do some experimenting with that. So the bias we're getting out of this right now is 148 millivolts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift one leg of this bias transistor here and see what it goes to. So with the transistor removed, it's 400 millivolts, which is not high enough, so I'm going to have to change a resistor to get that up a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break this video off right here as part 1 and a summary of what happened. This radio came in for repair, sounded distorted, had a broken dial cord, had dirty controls. Cleaned the controls, found a broken trace on the bottom of the circuit board, a bad transistor in the output, and fixed the dial string. Got new transistors, still can't get it to sound to what I would consider acceptable. It's still distorted, so I'm going to rebias and go with silicon PNP transistors. Gonna have to change this bias regulator transistor and also this 1800 ohm. Probably gonna have to bring this down to about a 1500. So this will be part 1. Part 2 will be the rebiasing and completion of the radio.